So we've reached the end of our contributed talks. Jose and I would like to thank each and every one of you who provided, insight through your talks yesterday and today. But the job is not done. We still have one more set of breakout conversations, and these in particular are really going to be critical to develop the findings as a result, coming out of this workshop. So we really hope you can stick around with us for the next, hour and a half to round out these conversations, because I think this is, based on what we heard from Sarah Noble and Jake Bleacher to kick off the workshop, I think these breakouts are really where a lot of the meat of the discussion is going to focus. I hope you can all join us. Just some reminders about breakout rules of engagement. Again, community participation is vital. You guys have been doing a fantastic job of chiming in here, and we hope you keep that ball rolling, that spirit of engagement rolling for the next hour or so. This seemed to work pretty well yesterday, so to speak, please raise your hand, use the little high five icon in Teams, and the moderator will call on you. You can also ask questions or comments or add comments via the Teams chat by just typing your question into the chat box. The breakouts will be recorded. And just one final reminder on the harassment policy, please read this statement, and if please don't hesitate with any concerns or questions to reach out to a workshop organizer. About schedules, breakouts will run from 3:35 to 4:35 p.m. Eastern in Microsoft Teams, not in this WebEx meeting. Please check your emails. The email came from Houston Meeting Info for the Teams link. I believe Ricky also just posted them in the chat. And then this is a little different than yesterday. At the end of the breakouts at 4:35 Eastern, please log out of Teams and log back into this WebEx meeting, because we have a 15-minute opportunity for Jose and I to turn and burn rapidly on highlighting the main takeaway points from each of our two breakout discussions, so we can hear about what's going on in each of the two breakouts. So please come to the WebEx and we'll wrap up and provide some comments moving forward. So we've been touting these breakouts for 2 days, but just to refresh your memory so you can make your final decision on which breakout you go to. Jose will be chairing, with Marie's help, the infrastructure breakout, which is going to look at physical space required to support the science team during Artemis, and how should this be structured in relationship to other mission support. What are the computing resources, including software, visualization tools, data management, et cetera, that the science team will need? We've talked a lot about this over the last 2 days, so I would envision data and computing and software to play a central role in that conversation. And then what comms infrastructure, as well as tools to support that deployed on the lunar surface, will enable the science team to do their work. Jose, anything to add to that content?
No, I think that covers it. I think that's a good summary.
Great. And then the second breakout is about architecture, and I'll be chairing that along with Tess Caswell, and that will really focus on how the science team should be structured during Artemis. What should the team structure be? We've heard a lot of different positions tossed around over the last 2 days, and I've been trying to write a lot of them down, but I'm sure I missed some. So please come with your recommendations on how to structure the many scientists who will be on the team. What are the sort of like interfaces between those different sub-teams that will support the infrastructure conversation that Jose is going to be leading? What should the roles and responsibilities look like in the science team? What should that sort of like org chart look like? What kind of positions should exist? What kind of backgrounds and skill sets are needed to serve on the science team, and how many people should there be? What role will, whatever we end up calling it, the Science Operations Center or the science team, play in real-time surface operations? Obviously, we know that the crew is going to be highly trained and autonomous, but there's going to be some input that the science team will want to, feed forward into. So how is that sort of final science decision-making authority process going to look? And then what is the role of strategic versus tactical science teams, and how do they interact with each other? And how do those sort of roles and responsibilities change as we move from the shorter duration missions to the longer term missions? And even getting into the nitty gritty of what does the shift structure and staffing roster look like for this kind of science support function? For both of these, we, and Sarah and Jake elucidated this really clearly yesterday, we are not expecting in 1 hour to get the answers to all of these questions. However, I think we can really take a large step forward in understanding exactly what the community feels, how we should all be structured to support this really exciting program. And it might even spin off conversations on what future workshop topics we should be focused on. Sarah and Jake tasked Jose and I to provide recommendations on those types of future workshop topics. So if when we don't have time to tackle all of this, we'll be able to at least provide feed forward recommendations moving forward. Jose, what did I miss?
I think you covered it all.
Great.